What's going on, guys? My name is Auth, and I'm back with another VulnHub CTF, this time with Matrix 2. This one was a little bit harder than the first Matrix, but I'm going to be showing you how to do it. And it's pretty similar to a Catropics machine I did, so it kind of made it easier to figure out for me. Okay, I'm going to begin by opening up the mmap results. I did version detection and default scripts, but this time I did -p-, which means scan all ports instead of the default 1000. We see that there's a couple of web servers open. They seem to be using Nginx according to the mmap results. One of them has authentication for one of the pages. We notice on one of the web servers that they have a robot.txt for a PHP file. And we open that and we see that there's a comment for a file parameter needed. So I open up, I use burp to diagnose the problem. You could use curl for this, but just make sure you use the -k flag for the SSL. And I changed it to post, send it to the repeater, and then I put in the parameter manually. And I just assumed that it was a local file inclusion based on the authentication that one of the web servers had. So happened to be right. As you can see there, the passwd is outputted, which indication that it's local file inclusion. So I'm pointing out that it's Nginx there, so we can use that to get a look at the configuration file for the web server and hopefully find the location of the credentials for the authentication for the port 1337. And we see that there is a path there. It's in the default Nginx configuration. So just put that there to view it. And we get a username and password hash. So we're going to take that password hash and put it into a file and crack it with John. I already did save time, and the password was admin. So naturally we're going to use that on the port 1337 since we found the authentication through the Nginx config. So we're just going to input those credentials. And we get a page similar to the other web servers, and we see a comment indicating that there is a JPEG. And there's a lot that people can do with the JPEG, but in this particular case it happens to be steganography, and you can figure that out based on the file size. You could also use binwalk or exitIF tool to diagnose the JPEG more. Can't use wget there because there's authentication. So we're just going to have to save it through Firefox. So we're just going to use steg-hi to extract it, and the password happens to be on the page that we saw. It's N30. So that's how you can figure it out. I'll show it in a second. You see right there they put in red N30 indicating that that's the password. And it gives us another password for something else. So we're just going to copy and paste that. And if we look at the mmap results again, which I will do here in a second, we notice that there is a shell-in-the-box web server, so we can use the credentials that we just figured out from the steganography and input that in to basically get a shell on the server. Okay, now that we have access to the machine, we can check the bash history. And I don't know if this was intentional, but through the bash history, it basically tells you how to get root, which is unusual. But if that wasn't there, hypothetically, we could use strings, or we could extract it into our own local machine and use GDB to basically figure out that we could even do that, or we can use strace or ltrace. But we didn't have to do that for this particular machine. And I'm doing a SUID and SGID search, which is what I often do for conducting privilege escalation. And as we can see there is a Morpheus, which is a reference to the guy in the movie. So obviously that has something to do with the machine, which is called matrix. So now that we see that that's a SUID binary, we know that executing that command will give us a root shell. And you can see we have access to root, so we can get the final flag